Okay.
Hello, Jody. I'm so excited to chat with you. So I'd love to know, what was life like before you started working with us? Tell me kind of where you were at before then.
So I have been a lifelong uh, fitness person. I really started to take my health seriously in my early 20s and was a runner. And I grew up in the 80s. So I had the messaging that cardio was everything. And I took that very seriously. And I ran for most of my adult life. Even when I had children, I still ran a little bit, but I transitioned more towards a cardio type based workout routine. And before I arrived here, I was still doing that, even though I was in my, you know, approaching my mid 50s, and I was still doing cardio and restricting my diet, and nothing was working. I realized probably when I was about maybe 52 that things were just not working anymore. And everything that I had done in the past had stopped yielding any type of result for me. In fact, the more I did, the I felt like my body was changing more and more, and I did intuitively realize that when I took a rest, I would get results,
Mm,
but I wasn't there mentally, and I couldn't wrap my head around just taking a rest. So when I arrived here, I was working very hard, working myself into the ground, in the gym for hours or working out at home for hours. It was consuming my entire life basically outside of family, and was really not eating properly at all.
that's right. And I think you were even part of another program and what they were having you do wasn't working either, right? For about a year or
That
so.
that is correct. I was actually 18 months. I worked in two programs prior to being here. The first one I worked in for maybe 6 months, and that was just not good at all. I knew probably about 2 months in that I was not getting um, proper education on where I needed to be, and the person I was working with really didn't have a skill set for someone my age. And so then I transitioned to a program that really marketed themselves as targeting women perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause. So I thought, okay, great, I'll do that. So I stayed with that for a year and a half. The problem with that program was a lack of true knowledge. The mindset was still, work hard, and which you do have to work hard. It is hard work. No one would ever dispute that. But it was not really targeted towards someone who was approaching menopause and postmenopause. It was more still too much cardio, too much grind, if so to speak. And it is a grind, but you have to let your body, you really have to listen to your body. And it didn't feel like I was getting any kind of knowledge base in regards to that.
Yeah, so they weren't able to answer questions maybe, or and the strategy itself was not again rendering results, even though they were marketing it that it should. And then for
Yeah.
you also, like there's a little bit of a layer of complexity because you're plant-based, right? So you have to
Yes.
be creative with your food combinations and choices, and you were following macros. Can you speak to how your nutrition has changed since joining us?
Yes. So I have transitioned to, I was plant-based. Now I'm eating eggs, and I've incorporated some other things into my diet. So I'm eating a lot of dairy and eggs, and it's actually perfect for, the food pyramid has been completely flipped, and I feel like I'm much more in line with that now. Um, what has been remarkable with this program is the true knowledge on nutrition. That's really helped me tremendously because I, as I mentioned earlier, grew up in the 80s and you know, my education on nutrition was totally different back then. And that was imprinted in my brain. And so I really have, it's been a slow transition, but now I'm completely transitioned over to more vegetarian. And I've even considered introducing meat back into my diet.
Yeah, it's I always say like you can experiment with things and see how they feel physically, but also morally. Like it's a personal choice, right? Like you get to decide. Um, and I would say you're probably I remember this message that you sent that like I always wanted to be one of those girls who could, eat more and enjoy a variety of food, and now I am, or something along those lines,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely. I have a core memory of a woman who was an acquaintance of mine back like in the 80s and 90s. She was a friend of a friend, and she was older than me at the time. So she was probably my age now when I was in my 30s. And I always admired her because she didn't restrict anything. She was always relaxed, but was in phenomenal shape. And now she has always um, sort of resonated in my brain as like, boy, I aspire to be like her. And now I truly do feel like, I mean, it's constantly a work in progress, but I do feel like I am much more like her now, and I'm much more relaxed about many things, not just food, but it's sort of, what you put into your body and how you treat your body, it filters down. It's a ripple effect into every single aspect of your life. And I find that that is what has been just truly remarkable about this program and has helped me tremendously.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Because I do. I believe that strongly that your fitness and your health should be the foundation and positively impact the other areas of your life. Whereas when you came in here, like a lot of women do, it's just this swirling obsession in your brain, and it's like a constant state of anxiety and worry. Why am I not getting further? I should eat less, train harder. And it's just, yeah, it's super frustrating. So I'm so happy to hear that you've experienced that. Was there anything that you were skeptical of? You've been into programs that, didn't really work out. So what were you concerned about that happening again, or what made you,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. So when I first spoke with you, which I believe was probably in March of last year, I was still in that other program and I still had several months, um, locked in with that program. But so I saw you on Instagram and something about your messaging about cortisol really resonated with me, and it prompted me to reach out, which I normally shouldn't have really been doing because I was already fully entrenched in another program. Not that I couldn't do that, but I should have been receiving what I was looking for in the other program because I certainly was paying for it, but not receiving it. So I reached out to you and I was very skeptical because I had been, you know, well over 2 years at that point working with other coaches and really not getting anywhere. And then when you and I sat down and had a meeting and talked, something within me just really, I told myself, I'm going to take a leap of faith. And I told my husband, I said, we're going to be double paying. I said, I'm joining on with this
Yeah.
program and phasing out of the other, but I didn't want to, I didn't want to burn any bridges
Yeah.
over there at that other program because I mean they had been very nice to me and I had paid them for, the next 6 months or whatever, but something I knew it wasn't right. And so I just phased out of that other program. I never even said anything to them. But I joined your program and I can't even tell you that was March of last year. By April, I was feeling so much better. I was feeling that my coach had really listened to me um, under you. and was really catering everything towards specifically me, not just, a pre-prescribed program that's for everyone. And I was already seeing results and I felt so much better. And I can't tell you how many times over the last almost year now have said to myself, wow, I'm so glad I took that leap of faith and just went for it because it was life changing, game changer completely.
Oh, I have chills. So so wonderful. And you know what? You're not the first person to be in a situation like that where you're in a program and you're not getting the great results or maybe not receiving what you hoped. And you know, this comes into your consciousness and it's like I can stay and wait out these 2 or 3 months that I have left, but there's something called opportunity costs.
Yes.
Oh, like you just said, in that first month of March, how different you felt. Um, you wouldn't, that wouldn't have happened, right? So sometimes you have to kind of just cut your losses. And I'm a big believer of going with your gut and taking a leap of faith. I just did that recently too with a mentorship. So you have to trust yourself sometimes, all the time.
Yes, absolutely.
And so, what do you think the biggest breakthrough has been within this program for you?
Healthy eating, truly healthy eating, and having knowledge on, what I thought was healthy, what I thought was really fueling my body really wasn't. And so the nutrition component has been huge for me. The working out as well. I've been heavy lifting for several years now. Um, not only it's been a combination of the nutrition and the education on nutrition in conjunction with heavy lifting, but in a way that is really geared towards my body and a woman my age and not killing myself in the gym. I mean, yes, I go full out in the gym and I work out very hard to the point where, I go to a gym where it's almost the time of day I go, it's almost always the same exact people. So over the years, you become, even if you're not friends with them, so to speak, you recognize each other, you say hello, it's almost like a little family at the gym at the time that I go. And I've had multiple people say to me like, wow, I don't mean to offend you or but you've made so much progress and you look great. And I even have had people, ask me, for your information and I've passed that along. So it makes you feel good that other people recognize things, but really it's for you. And so I've had many breakthroughs in the last year, but truly learning to listen to my body and seeing that, I can do a 40-minute workout and get amazing results. I'm not in the gym for, 3 hours a day.
I love that so much. That's the thing, you cannot build muscle out of thin air. You need to be having enough fuel and enough protein and building blocks. And that's the thing, like effective workouts that are going to stimulate that muscle growth and not necessarily overtax your nervous system, exhaust you, and just leave you in an inflamed mess. And I remember our first conversation, you stood up and you're like, my friends think, I'm the fittest of my friend group, and think I'm crazy, but like I never had this like layer around my stomach and back before, and it's driving me nuts. And yeah, I was just looking at your photos, and you're a lean bean from head to toe now. Like, and
Thank you.
it's so wonderful to have like be putting in the work and have it finally pay off. So, um, yeah, I guess like the results you've achieved so far, will you tell me like about like the result, like in your perspective, like what are the biggest wins you've achieved in terms of results?
Well, I definitely, my body I feel like it's resumed back to the way it was even in my 20s and 30s. I mean, I feel great in my own skin. And, I've lost that. that layer that I didn't want. And now I know, if I sort of am veering off and maybe like feeling like, oh, I'm a little inflamed or, bloated, I know exactly what to do, which is great. Having those tools are just, invaluable. But I think overall, the biggest win for me is we all have smartphones that prompt us with memories in our camera roll. And when I see, you know, see what you were doing 8 years ago, and I look at the photos from 8 years ago, 7 years ago, even 10 years ago, and I look at myself now and I think, wow, I feel like I look better now than I did then, which that is huge.
Oh my God, that's so awesome. Yeah, and that's what I think is possible. You know, I'm 42, you're mid 50s, and I'm like, I'm gonna be like Jody when I grow up, because we still have the option to just keep getting better if we're willing to change the strategy as needed through perimenopause, menopause, and really be an advocate for ourselves and what we want. So who would you recommend this program for?
I would recommend it for anyone, truly, even if you're not in perimenopause or menopause, um, because of the education. But truly, this program is life-changing for any woman who is out there saying to themselves, I'm doing everything that I've always done, and I can't stand the body I'm living in because nothing is working. It's truly for the woman who has all of the tricks up her sleeve that used to work, and those tricks are not working anymore. This program can totally reverse that for you. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I'm just gonna stop